Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1142, Monday, May the 25th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well, happy Memorial Day to everybody out there, especially Armed Forces veterans. A note also here on this video, just to let you know, there will not be a video on Tuesday because today, Monday, Memorial Day, I've got pretty much quite a few activities going on. So won't be making any video. Plus, there really won't be any new information coming out today. DC's pretty much closed down. Journalists are off. Nobody's doing a whole lot of reporting on anything on Memorial Day, so probably won't be much to talk about. But if you're a total hardcore Obamagate, Spygate junkie, you can always go over to my timeline and read my timeline. That'll keep you busy for about 5 or 6 hours. Especially if you're new to my channel, you just tune into my channel. I have a timeline. You might want to click on the link there in the description box. And it's a crime-by-crime, play-by-play rundown of the entire coup plot from the very beginning to where we are today. So anyway, you may want to check that out if you're a total junkie and can't go a single day without some Spygate news. Recommend that to you. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the news of the day and then the dumbass of the week. Okay, so we had a story yesterday in the Gateway Pundit which seems to suggest that Andrew Weissman of the Mueller Hillary donor posse was likely the person, or someone working for him was the person who leaked the indictment of Roger Stone over to CNN, the Commie News Network, so that they could be on scene when the arrest of Roger Stone went down. And a letter to this effect has been sent to the Department of Justice by Stone's attorney. So the story in the Gateway Pundit suggests that this document, which contains the initials of Andrew Weissman, was posted up on the Mueller website, I guess, the Mueller witch hunt website, which posted up this indictment. And it appears that this was posted prior to its filing and unsealing with the Department of Justice, or the courts. So even before it was filed and unsealed for the court and the Department of Justice, it had already been posted up, and then I assume a link was sent from what the story says. A link was sent to someone at CNN. Now, I would think that probably at least that, and probably a few people whispering in a few other people's ears. Remember, the intelligence people, they have people buried in every one of these media organizations. They have for very, very many decades and decades now. The media apparatus in the country is full, whether it's newspaper, newsprint, digital, TV, radio, you name it. Every possible form of communications or so-called news has people from the intelligence community embedded in these organizations. Some of them overtly, some of them covertly. Some of them are very open about the fact that they also work with intelligence people. Some of them are covert. It's not known, but suspected. So anyway, it looks like that this woman, Sarah Murray from the Commie News Network, texted Roger Stone's lawyer on the morning of the raid and said, "Hey, your client is being indicted. Your client is being indicted." So CNN got the tip-off that this had been posted prior to even Stone's attorney, and even prior to the filing or the unsealing even being done with the court or the DOJ. So clearly, just as we all suspected, CNN said that they got on the scene because of luck and hard work. I don't think so. There wasn't any luck involved in that. And there isn't any hard work being done over at CNN. The only thing they do over at CNN is sit and wait for their inside intelligence assets to direct them what to do, and they wait for their morning email from the DNC to get their daily talking points. That is all they do over at CNN. There's no ass busting going over there. Just a lot of ass kissing and a lot of being involved in a lot of things they shouldn't be involved in. Things that have nothing to do with news. But that's because they're not really a news organization. They're a public relations firm for the Democratic Party and a mouthpiece for the intelligence community. That's what they do at the Commie News Network. But there you go. No surprise. I mean, none of us bought the original BS line from CNN. We all knew they were tipped off, and we all knew it had to be someone probably within the Mueller team. And it looks like now it was Andrew Weisass himself, or one of his people on the staff, making sure that CNN knew where to go look at the link for the indictment before it even was filed with the court. There you go. Well, yesterday we had Michael Moore come out and say that Biden cannot win and that he may not be the nominee. Absolutely correct. I've been saying it for a very, very long time, even before he threw his hat in the ring. Biden cannot win. I said, don't do it, Joe. He could have rode off into the sunset, 3 decades in the Senate, 2 terms as vice president, retire with his pension. He's all good, probably still making tons of money, along with his members of his family from the corruption he's been involved in. Could have walked away clean. Instead, he decided to stick around and be a target. And now, I promise you, not only is he going to lose, but his personal legacy is going to be greatly tarnished. And you got to think, I mean, this is a guy who just didn't know when to quit. He's like the gambler who's a suck-ass gambler, doesn't know anything about gambling, but just happens to be dealt the perfect hand and walks away from the table with a big take. And he's too stupid to realize how lucky he was. So he sticks around thinking he actually had some skill, only to find that he didn't, and then he loses everything. And that's kind of what Biden is. He's that guy who really, quite honestly, talk about the Peter principle. My goodness, he is a perfect example of it. For a guy as dumb as Biden to have made it to where he made it to vice president is quite the accomplishment. I mean, you talk about punching way above your pay grade. I mean, Biden really did very, very well in life, considering his limited abilities and capabilities and mental abilities. So he should have thought, man, I mean, did I ever get over in this game of life? He should have walked away happy. But he just couldn't do it. He had to stick around to see if he could cash in one more jackpot. And this is the one that's going to catch up to him, because he, along with Obama, the reputations are going to be absolutely destroyed when Durham gets done, along with Barr and the president, of telling the country what happened between 2015 and probably going back even before that with Obama and spying on people. But specifically in regards to the Spygate situation, both their roles, Obama and Biden's roles, in the coup. Their reputations, their legacies, their histories destroyed. Biden bit off more than he can chew this time. He should have went away quietly and kept his mouth shut, and maybe he could have avoided some of the backlash, but not anymore. And I have no doubt, just like Michael Moore is saying, he may not be the nominee. Yeah, I mean, the Democrats, at any time they can take Biden out. He's only there because they allow him to be there. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that they were willing to throw Biden over the bus, under the bus, to get Michael Bloomberg. But once Michael Bloomberg flamed out in incredible fashion after spending $1.2 billion and getting about the same amount of delegates as you and I got in the Democratic field, then they had no choice to go back to Biden. They don't want Biden. They're stuck with him. And but there is so much out there on Biden that the media is protecting him and the party's protecting him right now. But at any time that they decide that they are going to make the move, all they have to do is pick up the phone, call their friends in the media, send them the email, and say, okay, target Biden, and he'll be done. 24 to 48 hours, done. Because they have all the ammunition they need to take him out. It's just the way that they do it. They have to be very careful. They have to make sure that it's looks like a Joe Biden decision. And they would like it to be something like health issues, something like that. So they don't want to be blown out in corruption, because that poisons the ticket. And what the Democrats are most focused on, they're not worried about winning the election. They know they're not going to beat Trump, especially with Biden. They're worried about the down ballot. They're trying to hold on to the House, and they would like to win the Senate. But I think at this point, they're just trying to hold on to what they can hold on to. And I guess they feel that Biden still gives them the best chance of having Democrats come out and vote. You look at anyone else on that ticket in that field the Democrats have, none of them people, I guess they believe, can get the turnout part of it done. They must believe for some reason that Biden is going to get a reasonably good showing, turnout, and that better than anyone else in the field. That's the only thing I can think of. But I still think it's better than 50-50 that they helped Joe arrange for a somewhat safe, face-saving way for him to exit stage left, and they can bring in the Rotten Reverend or whoever else, Klobuchar, who knows. But I think that they're screwed in 2020 anyway. Not just on the president, but I think they're going to get their asses kicked on the down ballot in state elections, congressional elections, the House, the Senate. I think they're going to lose big. We can already see from some of these special elections that they're losing. They just lost some local seats in Virginia. They lost the seat out in California, the Katy Hill seat, by 12 points. They lost another seat out there in California. So, the way it looks right now, if things continue on their course as they are now, I think that the Democrats are looking at a pretty big ass whipping coming in November. And so I don't know that sticking with Biden's going to help them anyway. But yeah, Michael Moore is correct when he says Biden can't win and he may not be the nominee. Now, Biden and the Democrats, they're disingenuous people, so what they say, a lot of times, like this comment Biden made yesterday where he's calling out the big corporations, typical election year stuff that you hear from Democrats. Oh, the big corporations, they don't pay their fair share. If I become president, I'm going to tax the hell out of them. If you elect me to Congress, I'm going to tax the hell out of them. This is what they always say, despite the fact that they don't mean a word of it. Because these big corporations like Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they're all big Democrats. And they know that they're going to get taken care of in the tax code. The Democrats, actually, what they do is they tax the hell out of the middle class. It's the prosperous middle class. The people typically vote Republican, business owners, small business owners. That's who the Democrats are going to punish, not the big corporates. But that's the spin that they give. They spin that they're going to tax the big corporations, but they actually, through the tax code, take care of the big corporations. The taxation actually comes to the small businessman who's typically a Republican. That's the big lie. But despite all that, it is part of their talking points propaganda that you get every 4 years from a Democrat. And in this case, Biden obviously got his talking points yesterday. And so he starts talking yesterday about that. When I become president, I'm going to tax these big corporations. I'm coming after you, Amazon. So naturally, Amazon decided to reply to Biden and just torched him. So their response on social media back to Biden was, quote, "We pay every cent owed. You spent 3 decades in the Senate and know that Congress wrote those tax laws to encourage companies to invest in the U.S. economy. We have 500,000 jobs. Minimum wage is $15 per hour in 40 states. Your complaint is with the tax code, not with Amazon." Torched him. Exactly. But they know it's not going to happen anyway, as I just said. Now, let's talk about Alexander Down the Hatch Downer. Down the Hatch Downer. He's got a lot of problems. Of course, most of you know that. So, the reason he's got a lot of problems, not just his problems with the Spygate, Obamagate, and his role in it. Remember, it was his conversation with Papadopoulos that we're told, it's a lie, but that's what we're told, was the reason that they launched Crossfire Hurricane against the Trump campaign. Of course, I don't believe that. I know most of you don't believe that. That's a lie. It was the dossier. They had to go back when the dossier became untenable. Then they had to go back and find something else, and it was this convenient little meeting with Downer and Papadopoulos that they were forced to go with. And of course, we know from yesterday's video and what was put into the EC that they really did not ever want Downer's name to come out. They were going to protect him. When he was brought into this thing, he was told, "You're going to be protected. Believe me, we're going to swap you out with another official source. You're our unofficial source. We're going to swap you out and make your unofficial become official, and you'll be swapped out for something official." That's what they were trying to do, but it didn't work out. So, yes, he's up to his eyeballs and all of that. And I can tell you that when he was interviewed by Durham, he lied. He has not come clean. He has not come clean. I don't think he ever will come clean. And I'll say that's true, not just about Australia, the government of Australia, but also about Italy and about the UK as well. I don't think that they've ever come clean with Durham and Barr. And I think, it's pretty embarrassing for them to have to admit that they were participating in a conspiracy, a coup conspiracy against the U.S. president. That's not something that you generally want to admit to. And of course, if it was another type of president, they know it would all be taken care of behind the scenes. Send me a box of chocolates and an apology card, and we'll just let bygones be bygones, or something like that. But not Trump. Trump is going to embarrass these people. He's going to expose these people. He's not going to let them get away with it. So I think that the strategy for Italy, the UK, Australia has been to, like the Chinese and everyone else, is to try to wait Trump out, to hope that he gets voted out of office or forced out of office or something, and that they can delay. I think that that's what they're doing. I don't believe that when Barr and Durham went to Italy, they got leveled with. I don't think that they've gotten the truth from the UK or Australia. And I don't think Downer, when he was interviewed, told the truth. I think he's lying. Now, if you watch the interviews of Downer within the past year, he will not comment on anything, nothing about his conversation with Papadopoulos, the meeting, Spygate, any of it. He is like, well, there's an investigation going on. Our government said they're going to cooperate, and I can't talk about it. That's where he's been the past year. But the first year or year and a half, when his name first came out, for the first year and a half, he would go out on these, do media appearances and talk about it prior to Durham being appointed. And he would make jokes like, oh, people say, it's a conspiracy, spy thriller, James Bond type thing. I'm just a diplomat. I'm not a spy. I'm just a diplomat. And the media gave him total cover. Never bothered to look into his past to find that he sits on the board of Hackloot, which is a cloak and dagger private intelligence firm that does a lot of government work over in the UK. He's also hangs out at this London Center, hangs out at Cambridge. All his friends are a bunch of spies and spooks and ex-national security state people. It's all a bunch of spooks and spies. The people he runs around with. He runs around with people like the Clintons, Bill Gates, all these corrupt people. Yet he's trying to pass himself off as some sort of just a mild-mannered diplomat, when we know he's up to his eyeballs in all kinds of shit. And in addition to all that, we now have this court case that's about to begin in Australia. It's being called the Australian Watergate. And what this has to do is that back in 2004, there were gas contract negotiations going on between Australia and East Timor, which is a small, tiny little island that obviously has a little bit of gas. And there was a conversation, negotiation, whatever you want to call it, dealing with around $40 billion in gas contracts. Now, this story actually begins back in 2004. Now, it has been investigated. This has been going on for years and years and years. But it's finally, enough information has finally come out to where it's pretty clear what happened there. And now there's a lawsuit involved. There's legal stuff going on involved. And apparently this is all going to be getting started next week. And what's interesting about all this is the person who's right at the center of it all is Alexander down the hatch Downer. Down the hatch Downer. Apparently, to give them, the Australian government, leverage in the negotiation, Downer ordered some, intelligence, surveillance, technical expert guy to plant bugs, listening devices, inside the office of where the officials from East Timor were having their discussions. So they planted bugged this little office in East Timor where these officials from East Timor would discuss, how they're going to negotiate and this type of thing. And the accusations first came out, and of course they were denied. And finally, when they couldn't deny it anymore, they began investigating. We saw this high government official named Trumbull from Australia come out a couple months ago. He just released a book. In that book, he throws Downer under the bus. He throws Downer under the bus, not just in Spygate, but in his association with this plot here. So here we see that Downer has been involved in the dirty spying business for a very, very long time. He's not just a mild-mannered diplomat. And he is being accused, he hasn't been found guilty, but he has been accused of being the person who directed some individual with those skills to bug the offices of these officials in East Timor. Now, it's kind of disgusting because East Timor is a very small, very poor country, and to screw a small country out of money like that is kind of rude, I guess. Now, Downer's position, and the only comments he really has made since this is all blown up, is that he tries to portray himself as he's all about Australia. Everything I did, he says, anything I did for the good of my country, Australia. That's his sort of excuse, that all the things that he does, that he claims that he doesn't do, that he actually does, that are illegal, by the way, he does for the benefit of his country. That's his, tries to make himself look patriotic. His crimes are okay because they're done out of a sense of patriotism and love of country. That is the Alexander Down the Hatch Downer line. But this thing is heating up. There could be consequences, and it looks like to me from what we're seeing now, there's more and more evidence that the Australian government is getting ready to throw Downer under the bus. Not just because of his role in Spygate, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there weren't officials in Australia that didn't know about this. I think there probably were. It wasn't just Downer. I think there were other people who probably knew in that government. Certainly government officials in the UK knew what he was doing and why he was doing it and who put him into the game. And again, I don't think he's ever come clean. I don't think he ever will. I don't think any of these people are ever going to admit to what they did. Just go ahead and throw him in jail anyway, Mr. Durham. There you go. Now you know why I say Alexander Downer, Down the Hatch Downer, has got a lot of problems. Let's go ahead and get to Dumbass of the Week. I'm going to have to move quickly. We only have 10 minutes. What a horse race this week. Absolute horse race. You're going to love it. Okay, Net went with Sullivan. Oregon Outback went with Come On Man, Joe. David Wharton went with Judge I'm With Her, Sullivan. Scott Johnson went with Biden and Sullivan. JV went with Sullivan. Ain't black, bite me. Biden and Ray. JC Hasty went with Sullivan, Biden, and Ray. Gene went with Sullivan, Biden, and Fauci. Birdwell went with Sullivan, Biden, and Wilkinson. Lori Holt went with Biden, Sullivan, and Swallowell. Joey D. went with Abrams, Biden, and Sullivan. Lori Holt went with Biden, Sullivan. Oh yeah, I already told you. Swallowell. Thank you, Lori. Freddie Schaffer went with Sullivan. Fauci. What a fraud. And Obama's mainstream media. Very nice, Freddie. Very nice. Obama's mainstream media. Lisa Bennett went with Black Biden. Ronnie DeMasters, Sullivan. Michael went with Biden, Sullivan, and no shit Sherlock Ray. Gregory Woolery went with Biden and Sullivan as a toss-up. He couldn't decide. That's okay. They each get one vote. Joe Mack is going to go with Biden. Zara Drew will go with Judge Sullivan. Good Old School will go with Chuck Todd. Up Chuck Todd. Sleepy Eye Todd. Gordon Barron, yes, our good friend Gordon, is going to go with Biden, Sullivan, and Fauci. Well done, Gordon. Andreas Manuela went with Sullivan, Mika Brzezinski, and Joe O'Biden. Timothy Day, he's going to go with Biden. And he's not just going to go with Biden this week, but until Election Day. Because every week there'll be a different reason why he deserves to be Dumbass of the Week. Yeah, quite honestly, you're pretty much right, Timothy. You're pretty much right. I would say that Biden has about a 90% chance of winning Dumbass of the Week from here on out. For a different reason every week. A different gaffe, I guess we should say. Or mistake, however you want to look at it. Rattlesnake Breeden is going to go with Sullivan and the demented dog-faced pony soldier. Jenny Tweets will go with Biden and Whitmer. Jonathan Cassidy is going to go with Biden, Sullivan, and Whitmer. Peter James is going to go with Ray, Biden, and Sullivan. William Bigliani will go with Biden. Allegro T will go with Sullivan. Youngblood will go with Sullivan. Douglas will go with Sullivan. Kurt Nasta will go with Biden. No shit Sherlock Ray and Sessions, Jeff Sessions. Yeah, you know, Trump and Sessions have been dueling on social media this week. Been pretty interesting watching that exchange. Stage Door Johnny is going with Biden, Kumo, and Mia Brzezinski. Jamie Anzavino is going to go with No Shit Sherlock Ray, Biden, and Sullivan. Judith Vig is going to go with Biden. Sane Environmentalist will go with Sullivan. Rose Quartz. Rose is going to go with Sniffy Joe Biden. Jeanette Bateman will go with Sullivan, Whitmer, and Fauci. You know, Whitmer, she got quite a few votes this week. She may be one of the worst governors I've seen in my lifetime, and just purely in a tyrannical sense. Kumo is very, very bad, but Whitmer's especially bad. And I understand there might be a recall going on up there with Whitmer. She's really incompetent. I don't know how she ever got elected, to be honest with you. But 6 years for a governor, if it was just a senator, or I mean just a congressman for 2 years or something, you might let it slide. But 6 years, I don't know if you can take her for 6 years. I think you got to get rid of her. I think they ought to get rid of Kumo over there in New York, and the crazy guy in California as well. That's three governors that just, they need to go. The quicker the better. The sooner the better. Walker on the Hill will go with Biden. T.W. Wintax will go with Black is Back Biden. Sisler TX will go with Biden. Keith Fellows is going to go with Biden and Trump for letting Fauci ruin the economy, and Sullivan. Good Old School will go with Huff the Magic Biden. Perk Dog is going to go with Sullivan. Cherry, I believe it's Cherry Martin. It's Cherie. That's Cherry, right? If it's Sherry, then I apologize, but it looks like Cherry Martin will be Biden and Sullivan. Mona Lisa is going to go with Biden. Vessie S. is going to go with the enemy of the state, Governor Kumo. Governor Kumo, as I said, you look at the situation going on there in New York. That's a problem. I think that the damage done to New York City may be something that can't be undone for a very, very long time, if ever. I mean, there's a lot of businesses in New York City that are literally never going to open again. Now, some of those people are going to move out of the city, maybe move to Buffalo or Albany or somewhere else in New York. Many of them will move to Florida or Pennsylvania or Virginia. A lot of people getting the hell out of New York. They rely on a very large tax base, and a lot of that comes from the big corporations and stuff and big business in New York. But you're seeing a lot of that tax base leaving New York. And you're seeing there's a lot of small business in New York, and they are being crushed. And I don't think a lot of these are going to come back. I think that the handling of the situation in New York could end up looking a lot worse than anywhere in the country, just because you have so many people and so many businesses directly affected. I don't know that they can recover from the damage that's been done to New York by Kumo. And he's been able to survive because the media have been giving him cover. But a year from now, in the rearview mirror, when it's much clearer to see, people are going to realize how badly Kumo mismanaged this crisis in New York. And he can try to blame Trump all he wants, but everyone knows that it's the governor's call. The federal government, the president, can make recommendations, offer guidelines, and things and such. But it's largely the governor's call. And Kumo has wanted to promote himself as being the guy in charge, as long as he was getting all the media coverage and then basically making it look like he was doing a great job. But when the shit hits the fan and people want to know how things were so badly messed up, then he's going to try to say, oh, well, I actually wasn't running anything. It was Trump. It's not going to fly. And there's unfortunately a lot of people being very badly hurt in New York. I don't know if New York is ever going to recover in my lifetime. That's how bad it is. Susan Lowell, Biden, and Sullivan. China News will go with Governor Cuomo and Joe Dementia. Tiger Lily will go with Biden. Cards is going to go with all who are against hydroxychloroquine. Yep. Julie Johnson, the skunky son of a bitch Sullivan. Yes, Julie, he is a skunky son of a bitch and a lot more. Clearly what Sullivan is doing is unprecedented. And I think that he can go ahead and hire this, expensive lawyer, but I don't think that 3-judge panel is going to let him off the hook. I think they're going to want to hear it coming out of his mouth. And I think he's going to embarrass himself greatly, and that he's going to end up getting stuffed in this deal. Flynn's going to be dismissed, the case is going to be dismissed, and Sullivan is going to look very, very bad when it's all said and done. I expect his retirement will be coming up shortly afterward. James Robinson, you can't be black voters unless you support Joe for Dumbass of the Week. You can't be black voters unless you support Joe for Dumbass of the Week. Thank you, James. I know exactly what you're trying to say there. I don't know if I wrote it down very well, but I think I know exactly what you're trying to say there. Yes. Just another one of many gaffes by Biden, that this one here is going to linger for quite some time. And the Trump administration or the Trump campaign is going to remind blacks of this every single day from now until November the 5th. Ruby's 200 is going to go with quid pro blow Joe. Quid pro blow Joe. Sue Sung is going to go with Sullivan. Gary Pierce is going to go with Sullivan. Thank you, Gary. It's Angry Bob is going to go with Biden, Sullivan, and Sherlock Ray. No shit, Sherlock Ray. Excuse me. Krabby 2 is going to go with Sullivan. And Stinky Barack Obama. Spy Gal is going to go with all of our government. She can't just pick just one because they all make her sick. Very well. I know how you feel, Spy Gal. I have those days too. You just can't pick one. You just say the whole damn thing's corrupt. We definitely can appreciate that. Bonnie Doon Homestead is going to go with Barr. Attorney General Barr. Ricky Ricardo is going to go with Dems who obediently vote for whomever disarmed their family living in the middle of an Illinois gang war. Well done, Ricky. Okay, so as I said, it was a hell of a horse race this week for Dumbass of the Week. When I finally got to the end and tallied up all the votes, I had a dead heat between Sullivan and Biden. Judge Sullivan and Dementia Joe, both with 35 votes. Now, I hadn't cast my vote yet. I usually cast my vote last. And I had decided earlier in the week to vote for Sullivan. And then the Biden gaffe happened. But then as I thought about it, it's Biden. These types of things are common for him. This is a little worse than most, but it's still pretty bad. But still, I looked at the Sullivan situation as being really unprecedented and probably has a lot more consequence and impact. So I decided to cast my vote for Sullivan. Decided to cast my vote for Sullivan, which, of course, gave Sullivan the win. I cast the winning vote this week. So with 36 votes, Judge Sullivan is the Dumbass of the Week. Coming up, just one vote shy is Quid Pro Quo Joe with 35 votes for runner-up to Dumbass of the Week. And finishing a very distant third place, we had No Shit Sherlock Ray. And it should be noted that Fauci only finished one vote behind Ray. But there you go. Judge Sullivan, Dumbass of the Week. A very close second, Quid Pro Quo Joe. And coming in a distant third, Christopher, No Shit Sherlock Ray. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys all enjoy your day today. Maybe take a day off, and we'll get back to TowerGate on Wednesday for the home stretch. We should know here in about 6 to 8 weeks. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow, or back Wednesday, with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.